bitch. She's the worst. I can't think of a worse way to make money. She's the most articulate idiot I've ever seen in my fucking life. She's so articulate, she can tell you how fucking stupid she is precisely. And she told George Floyd's rap record on the internet, oh, he was this, he did that, and he's a drug addict, and he's not a hero, and why does the black community make him a hero? Why do you choose him as a hero? We didn't choose him, you did. They killed him, and that wasn't right, so he's the guy. We're not desperate for heroes in the black community. Any nigga that survives this nightmare is my goddamned hero.
Took money to talk negatively about Candace Owens. I woke up this morning to these messages asking me if I had been paid by somebody to share my negative feelings about Candace Owens. And I'm like, where the F is this coming from? So I go and I search on the app. Apparently, she's paying 10 grand to find out what person or agency is trying to get influencers to like slander her on the internet, as though we're not allowed to have our own opinions about her behavior, as though we don't have our own minds and we don't have our own feelings that we can express. We have to be paid for those opinions? Candace, are you really honestly saying that people are not smart enough out here in the real world, us little lowly influencers, to have our own opinions on the matter? First off, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire Patriot and I have integrity. I have never, nor will I ever take money to speak about anybody. What kind of Delulu land are you living in? Do you not look at your own actions from the last several months and realize that people probably have strong opinions about the things you're saying? Do you honestly believe that we should all just jump on anything you say and agree with you at all times? And if we're not agreeing with you, that must mean that we're taking money? Luckily, the people that have messaged me about it, I don't know them personally. So maybe we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just randos that saw my video. I would hope anybody that knows me personally that I talk to on this app would know better than that. Candace, if you're listening to this, nobody paid me a penny to have my negative opinions about the things you've been saying and doing all over the internet. I had all those big girl thoughts all on my own. I can't even believe I had to say that. This is just for entertainment.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Party. Why I like the new party? Number one, it's a group of people that's on a panel. We all have differences, but we all basically still come together at the end of the day. The new party for me is about unity. The new party for me is about educating people to the truth, letting people know what's been going on in our country. With that being said, shout out to the new party, man. We're gonna keep it going with y'all.
Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
I'm Enzo.
I'm Kamal.
I'm Skeptic.
And tonight on the new party, we're going to talk about why has Candace Owens betrayed MAGA? And why have they betrayed her? According to MAGA, she's turned their back on them, and we're going to break it down. Why? In the first two clips I played for you, I played the wonderful Dave Chappelle, funniest probably comedian in my opinion alive, and I played a good friend of the show, Claire Patriot. Shout out to Claire. If you're not already following her, please go give her a follow. And I asked Claire personally, privately, I said, hey Claire, has anyone hit you up to ask you to make videos on Candace? She said no one that she knows either, and she's friends with some pretty big content creators, 500,000 plus followers, and no one has been hit up. However, Candace did break down today who has been hit up, and I'll tell you guys about it later on the show. But before we get into it, we'll give our opinions on Candace, and then we'll go into the next story of the night. Gray, are you a fan of Candace or not?
I never really was a fan of Candace. I did like that Candace took a risk as a black woman and started talking about right wing politics. That's I will give her that. And like Dave Chappelle says, she is articulate. The craziest thing about Candace Owens is that she actually sued for a hate crime, and then like she grew, then she got paid, and then she became this right wing person, and then like, but you're a victim of a hate crime, but you're just totally against kind of like civil rights for black. So I think that's interesting with Candace Owens' story. But shout out to Claire. Claire collaborated with us prior to even the election, and she's gonna be a VIP and turning point in Tampa. So she's done a lot of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, guys, we are accepting super chats tonight, and we're starting a new thing where we're going to be looking for bounties. If you're interested in being a bounty, what does that mean? So, for $9.99 or more in a super chat, you can put someone's name and request for them to sit out. Skeptic, I'll tell you more about it offline, but pretty much that's what we're starting tonight. So, for example, if I don't really like Kamal, I'm gonna be like $9.99 super chat, and Bounty Kamal. Kamal will sit out for about 3 minutes and vice versa. So, guys, I know we're getting kind of hot sometimes. I think it's going to be a pretty even keel night. We have a good balance. But if you don't like somebody, have them sit out, including me, because I know a lot of you guys, especially on Kamal's side, really love me. So send those super chats, $9.99 or better. You can put the name of the person that you want to sit out. Skeptic, what's your thoughts? Are you a fan of Old Candy?
I'm not a fan of hers, but I have listened to her and I knew that about her. She basically would argue that racism is like no longer a thing and that systemic racism never existed. And the funny part about it, or the ironic part, was that she herself was a victim of racism and of somebody being racist towards her. And she sued and made money from it. So, very hypocritical when I found that out. And she does speak very eloquently, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she actually believes what she's saying. You know, there's a lot of people that say things, but in reality, they don't have any character and they're just speaking because that's how they make their money. And I think that she kind of went too far. And then she kind of like created this persona and she can't go back on it. I had said this earlier on because she completely stopped talking about politics. And I was saying, oh, you know, she went back into doing journalism and was talking about, I forget the girl, but it was an actor girl. And I was like, this is the stage one in PR for you to try and change your image. And it's not going to work. Like, you don't just come and deconstruct a big issue in a community and then try and say I'm going to change my stance and, you know, try and redo my image. So yeah, I definitely am not a fan of hers.
Facts. Enzo, what about you? You a fan?
I mean, I really never was a fan of her. I don't really pay attention to a lot of left or right wing paid um, speakers whatsoever because I mean, they're just gonna speak about whatever they're paid to speak about. I like the people that are actually just doing it for the love of it, that they don't have a paycheck coming to them at the end of the day from some super PAC or anything like that. I mean, I've seen like the great clips of her going to like college campuses. Like my favorite one is "Life's Hard, Get a Helmet" when she was pregnant on stage. That's really all I've seen about her. I never paid attention to her podcast or anything else that she really has done.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're gonna learn a lot about her tonight, then, right? Kamal, I know you know all about her. Are you a fan? What's up?
Hell no, I'm not a fan of this Caribbean. You feel me? Her cooning. God damn, man. She's so goddamn anti-black and now she's trying to gravel back to the black community. Like, bro, take your ass, use your Caribbean bias like you got, and talk to your Caribbean folks to help you out. I've never been a fan. That bullshit she said about George Floyd sound like some people on the man cave that I ain't gonna say. Sound like the same rhetoric. God damn. Like ridiculous. Candace Owens on the same shit. And look it, a broken clock is always right twice a day. Sometimes Candace Owens might say some shit right. But for the most part, if you bricking 90% of the time, that means you got a terrible jump shot. That means you suck. I don't give a damn she make 10% of her shots. Get the F out of here with that. And with that being said, man, enough of Candace Owens. I need to start saying this in the beginning of the show. Y'all start hitting that notification bell for the new party so y'all know when we going live. That is very important. I got to start saying that too and reminding people to do that. So
For sure.
Yeah. No, for sure. Where's the let me play the video. Okay, guys. So that's not the first topic of the night. We have other things to hit. So Chris Cuomo is probably a little salty because his brother lost terribly. Let me play this clip and hear what he has to say.
Them from having the nuke. Impeach Trump is the opposite of having a better idea. You're killing your party. You're killing your party. And look, I hope it works out for you. I hope you guys splinter off and become, whatever you really are. Because you're not a capitalist and you're not a Democrat. And, you can say, well, what do you know? I was raised by a real one. I was raised by a real one. Go ahead and criticize Mario Cuomo. What's going to be your biggest insult? That he spawned me and Andrew? Is that going to be the best you have? Because you ain't shit compared to him. Not in terms of intelligence, not in terms of success, not in terms of pedigree, not in terms of philosophy, not in terms of mission, not in terms of eloquence, not in terms of charisma, not in terms of anything. Certainly not electability. You are killing your party because you are not a real one. Because you're doing what's good for you in a vacuum with your little social media following. You're no different than a pod bro. And you're killing your party. And Democrats better wake the fuck up and realize that you're better than this. Be with the 80, not the 20. Okay?
So, Skeptic, do you think that this is killing your party? Is she bad for the Democrat Party?
I think that Chris Cuomo hangs around with a lot of conservatives. Like I know the guy from that podcast, the Brian guy, that he's like been on his podcast multiple times. I think that sometimes when you start hearing rhetoric from like another, AOC is a very intelligent woman. She has a double major, and I don't necessarily think the way that the right like makes her look is accurate. So I don't agree with him. I think that Chris Cuomo, I don't know like why he has such a high standing, why we should listen to his opinion, but I think that maybe he has been hanging around some conservatives. I've also noticed that with other podcasters that were more left leaning, they start hanging around and listening to Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and they end up coming back and kind of saying some weird things. So honestly, that's what I think of. I stopped I'm not really a fan of Chris Cuomo. I never have been of him or his creepy brother. So I don't know like what his whole idea with that is, but I think that AOC is a good candidate for Democrats. I actually like her. I like all of the newer, younger generation, like Jasmine Crockett. Like I'm very pro for younger people to be getting invested because these older Republicans are going to eventually, they're going to be out of the loop. So, and they already are. Like Trump is like old, they're all older. So I think the younger ones that are Democrats, I think. Sorry, my daughter's here.
It's okay. Gray, what's your thoughts? I mean, should she leave the party? Would you support an AOC ticket? Because she's the front runner, they're saying, for the nomination come 2028.
I'm a more moderate Democrat than I am progressive. So I feel like with like these Christian nationalists, when you have these progressive policies with people that you could convince, do you have people like AOC and the guy that just got elected, you kind of push away the people that we could easily get to vote Democrat because then they say, oh, they're so extreme. Look at this one or this two person. So like it's only Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the squad, but they will paint that entire group as the entire entire Democratic Party.
So would you support a transgender principal?
Would I support a transgender principal? Depends on if they're good for the job. I'm not gonna discriminate. It's illegal.
I just asked because, King Jay said last night, if you guys get in power, he wants transgender principals at all the schools.
I think he was exaggerating, but that's what I'm saying with Christian nationalists like yourself. Y'all go find the smallest thing and say, "Oh, look, they're trying to do this," when it's just a normal guy with a union job that just wants good benefits, and then you go and paint the party as like these crazy people. So that's the issue.
Oh, okay. Um, Enzo, what's your thoughts? Should AOC leave the party?
Where's she gonna go? What party she gonna go to? We don't want
The
her.
Green Party.
Yeah, go to the Green Party. Be endorsed by the Triple K. That's fine. Have fun with that. I mean, I agree. I don't like Chris Cuomo or Andrew Cuomo whatsoever, but I do agree with what he said. You guys are on the wrong side of 80-20 issues. That's really what it is on the Democratic side, is you guys pay attention to the 20% and not the 80%, and that's why the Democrat numbers are in the shitter. Like, can we talk?
But I
Can we
want to
talk about
ask you
that?
this.
Yeah.
The most progressive candidate did an upset the other night. Why was that? As somebody that lives in the tri-state area, why did the progressive guy win?
People don't like Cuomo. That's what it is. I think it's crazy. I didn't know shit about what's his name when he
Mhm.
won it all. I've been learning so much about him over just like the last like couple days. New York, if he gets elected, y'all are cooked. You done? No, that is gonna turn the city terribly. No, we don't. They don't want that over there. So I don't realistically think he's gonna win whatsoever once people really start looking into the guy. I think they just saw Cuomo on a ticket and said, "Nope, we dealt with this for fucking however how long. We don't want him again." That's what I think that was.
Right. Well, you guys can go watch our video, our live stream yesterday during the day. We did lunch with the new party. We talked about the upset, and I also played a lot of clips. I talked about what he's promising. You can go watch it. Kamal, do you know about the guy that won? Uh do you think this should be assigned to Republicans? I know you're apolitical, but do you think this should be assigned to the rest of the country that a very progressive person won the mayoral candidate of one of the biggest cities in the country?
Not really, because Cuomo name is mud in these streets, just like Gavin
Mhm.
Newsom. His mud is shit in the streets. Like, you feel me? The dude that won, his name, who was it? Mariani? Is like
Yeah.
ain't that like, is that Kamala Harris' brother? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
He's
But
Ugandan and Africans, possibly.
I don't, it could be. Who knows? You feel me? But, I mean, him winning, it was more of Cuomo losing. You feel me? It ain't had nothing to do with him winning. It was more of Burr losing. His name is mud in the goddamn streets. You feel me? And I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Y'all best candidate for the Democrats is AOC. You feel me? Like Gavin Newsom, done. Jasmine Crockett, she just took the big L of being like the head Democrat House committee thing. That ain't a good look. You feel me? Bernie Sanders
Jasmine
ain't.
Crockett's the head of a committee?
No, she lost to this dude named Robert Garcia that
Oh,
is actually a Democrat in California, right? She lost. It's this thing called being the House Democrat or the head House Democrat thing. I don't know. She lost a big role, took the L, and it ain't a good look because she was in last place, which means her own party ain't really voting for her to be in an important position. So that ain't a good look. You feel me? And Bernie Sanders been losing since 1925. You feel me? He ain't about to win a goddamn thing. So AOC is
So let me ask the Democrats on the line. Would you vote for a Sanders AOC ticket? Yes or no?
Me?
I
No,
definitely would.
I wouldn't.
That's a
So,
split.
a split right
com-
there.
yeah.
For me, why I wouldn't, I
Mhm.
think Bernie Sanders. Listen, I'm definitely for the government doing this job and like helping his people, but to me, Bernie Sanders is the left wing version of Trump to a certain degree, and a lot of Bernie Sanders voters in 2016 actually went to Trump when Hillary Clinton got the nomination. So for me, I feel like yes, we need to be more progressive. We need to change a lot more things, but I do feel like if you go too far and say, "Hey, we're gonna do like all of this spending," you're not gonna be able to win election because Republicans don't want to see people get free stuff. So you got to have somebody that's in the middle. I don't even think that they're going to run another woman. I think the Democrats are going to be so afraid that they're like, you know what? We ran two women back to back and we lost. We're not doing this anymore.
Facts.
I
Well, we'll
think
see, but sorry.
the
Go ahead.
only thing that I would be worried about is how old Bernie Sanders is. But it's like for age wise, I think that it's a little questionable because he's kind of way up there in age. But I feel like his background is for the majority of it, he has stood on the same things and the same principles for a long time. So I think he's a good candidate. But yeah, he is way up there in age. So that's a con for him.
He'll
Yeah,
be 87.
Skepta, you right. He been standing on shit for a very
Yeah.
long time. Since the 1900s, I think.
Yeah, he was pro civil rights movement and stuff. So I think that Bernie, if anything, he's like a very genuine person. He's not like grifting in and out of things. He's actually standing on what he really believes, which I think that should hold some type of respect because I meet people all the time and they're just talking off the side of their head, you know. So I think like that matters. The fact that you really hold certain values, that you have character.
How old is
Yeah.
he?
He's 83 right now. He'll be 84 in September. So by the time the election came around
86.
in November, he would be 88.
God damn.
Oh, good luck. Mazel
He'd be the
tov,
oldest.
as they
He'd be the
say.
oldest elected president of all time.
Yeah, he's too old. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
All right, guys. So I got another Democrat I'm about to play a clip on. We have a lot of old videos talking about this fool. You can go check out our old stuff. It was a oldie but a goodie. Here we go. Let me play him.